Hello and welcome back, everyone. Hope you're all doing better than me. I am sick as balls right now. I am so sick. I've been sick for the last week. Got a massive headache right now, but I'm going to power through it because it's the Marine Corps birthday. I want to go and give you guys a story you haven't heard from me ever before, which is my complete Marine Corps experience. This experience, as much as I would love to go and say that it's like this grand thing and I learned so much and it was all very positive, it is a story of failure, just absolute failing to do my job. And although it is a story of failure, it formed me into the person I am today. All the things that you see on my channel can be rounded down to my experience in the Marine Corps. That formed me into the person I am today and the stuff that I share. So to start things off, when you're a kid, you're always asked, what do you want to be when you grow up? For me, it was Marine. It wasn't Army, it wasn't Sailor, it was Marine, because that's what I thought the best of the best would be, and okay, cool, I want to do that. And for me, it was something much larger than that, because my relationship with my father, I don't call him dad, my father, really bad, super bad, and it still is. So the Marine Corps was a way for me to have a father figure, I suppose. And then when my stepdad came into the picture, then I had like an actual father figure. But the years leading up to that, the Marine Corps was what I based my morality on in a lot of ways, the way I lived my life. I would do the dumbest things as a kid. I would purposely go out in the cold with a t-shirt or something like that just to embrace the pain. So blah, 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 I lived my life. I turned 17 years old. I enlisted into the Marine Corps. 4 days after I graduate high school, June 15th, 2015, is when I ship out to boot camp. And it was very difficult for me, not because of the yelling, not because of the discipline and the push-ups. I was very good at that, but because of the hiking. And you guys have heard of this on my channel before, but it was truly horrific for me to hike. You can look at a video of Marine Corps boot camp and get the general idea of it, but I struggled with hiking. Everything else I was good at. Shooting, physical fitness, everything I was good at. But putting a lot of weight on me and telling me to hike at a very fast pace as a short human, a very short human, I was not very successful at that. But I passed every hike in boot camp. I did, just very miserably. Now, when I enlisted into the Marine Corps, I enlisted as infantry. And that's just a general title of what sort of job you're gonna have, an infantry job. And so I went to School of Infantry right after boot camp, which is another 2 months of training, a lot like boot camp. And that was unfortunate. I thought, oh, I'm a Marine now. They're going to treat us with respect a little bit more. No. No. And I've only got two things I want to mention from School of Infantry, which go on to my later experience in the Marine Corps, which is that I still sucked at hiking. So much so that I failed every single hike except for the 20K re-hike, which is bumped down like 70% speed, very slow pace, just to get you past through, because they want Marines. They don't want to drop everybody out. They need bodies. And the other thing that would impact me later was losing the hearing in my left ear. I lost about 60%. I've got very heavy tinnitus. I hear up as we speak for the rest of my life. I don't get silence anymore. And it's all because it was raining one day. We were doing the M27 range, which is an automatic sort of M4 looking thing. And I went there, 400 rounds I put through it. And because it was raining, I had this orange earplug, and the earplug, when it gets wet, it expands and it doesn't work properly. And it fell out when I was running because the helmet strap, whatever. It fell out, didn't know, went through 400 rounds, and I lost the hearing in my left ear. 60%. But the other 40% that remains is the big problem because it's damaged. And when it's damaged, it distorts the frequencies that you hear. And unfortunately, it is the human voice range, like 2,000 to 4,000 hertz. So whenever people talk to me, it's, I hear like nonsense and it doesn't work well. So I can't go to parties now. If I go to parties, I can't understand a word. It's really bad. Anyway, we get through School of Infantry. They sort of pushed me through it, even though I failed all the physical events. And I got to my unit. And when I get to my unit, I was stationed in 29 Palms, California. It's like right next door to Death Valley. So pretty hot, just in the middle of a desert. It's the worst training base you could ever go to, really. It's a meme in the Marine Corps for being the worst base you can get stationed at. And I get stationed there, cool. So anyway, we're building up the unit. We only have about 30 people in the unit when I first arrive. Half of us are straight out of boot camp, and the other half are very seasoned veterans who have been shot multiple times, have been through the ringer, you know what I mean? So they treat us like shit, which is a given. You are a new guy in a unit, they gotta treat you like shit. But I was really hoping that they were going to treat us a little bit better. Regardless, it was a good time. I really loved the people that I was with. My squad, I loved them. My sergeant, great dude, he was shot as well. My job was a rifleman, he was a rifleman, so he really taught us a lot of really good things. Better reloads, night vision stuff, just a lot of good stuff that we would need to know for a future deployment coming up. And as the unit rose into an actual full-size battalion, 1,000 dudes, We do a lot more training events. We spent about, I think it was 126 days, if I remember, in the field over that first year being in the unit because they wanted us to be incredibly successful in our careers. So I respect that. But it was a lot of training. And it didn't give me much time to go and gain weight. When I got out of boot camp, one thing I forgot to mention, 116 pounds. 116 pounds. I did not stutter. That is how much I weighed. And do you think that somebody like that can carry a lot of weight? No. Let me tell you right now, no. For 20 kilometers, no. And that was a big issue for me. And it continued to be a big issue. Every weekend, I would go out up in the mountains behind our base, looking like a complete idiot with everything on, a helmet, pack, everything, just hiking on my own, trying to get better at hiking. I was 19 years old at that point, and I was struggling. I was really struggling. I started to voice my concern, saying, I don't know how I'm going to get better. Like, I'm hiking on the weekends, and you guys continue to be, like, really mad when I fail a hike, and they used to tell me the same thing, just mind over matter. Come on, push through the pain. But it didn't have to do with pain, and that was something that the Marine Corps didn't understand. I can deal with pain, but if I tell you to go to the gym right now and lift 500 pounds bench press, can you do it? No. What if I told you mind over matter? Come on, you're a Marine. Do it. You still can't do it. It's too much weight. It's just too much. And that was something that was happening to me. 120 pounds at this point. I was tiny and I couldn't put on any weight when we're spending all our time in the field eating like shit and not eating enough because we were running around all day doing fire move. And that sort of culminated into the worst time of my life when I was in the Marines, which is Bridgeport, California, Mountain Warfare Cold Weather Training. And this was a month-long training event. And it's a base that was made right after the Korean War, I think 1956. And it was made for Marines to be better prepared for the climates that they had in Korea. They had a lot of difficult situations they were in, and they wanted to make sure Marines were more prepared. And during that training, there was a portion where we spent 10 days straight in the field, living in the wilderness with just what's inside our pack. It was during the last day when I really broke down. One thing you gotta know about this training, 10 days. My company commander, so you can have an idea of what my battalion was like. When I'm saying the hiking's difficult, I'm not just saying that. It's not like I'm like a part of a normal Marine Corps unit. We broke the hiking record for all of Bridgeport since its inception. Since 1956, we broke it. 150 miles in 10 days. We hiked with our packs. 10 days of supplies in it, everything. And that was really, really tough for me. And one thing I want to mention, right before I went to Bridgeport, I got a hearing aid because it was starting to interrupt my training. I was not able to listen to commands when people were yelling my name from a distance or in a close environment where there's a lot of yelling. I wasn't able to understand what they were saying at all. It was really dangerous, especially in like live fire events. So I went to the doctor and I said, what do I do about this? And he said, hearing aid. That's the only way. So over the next month, I was fitted for a hearing aid, and it helped me a lot. It did help me a lot. But because of me having a hearing aid, I was told by my leadership, you are not able to get combat deployed anymore. And I was like, why didn't you tell me this first? I'm in the Marines. I don't want to train for nothing. I have a hearing aid. Like, I can still fight. I can still do my job. I just have a hearing aid. And they're like, if that hearing aid goes down, we can't have you in the field. What if that hearing aid goes down? What if you lose a battery? How are you going to go and fight? How are you going to listen to commands? But instead of kicking me out, they kept me as infantry. So then I asked them, can I change jobs then? Like, what the hell? Like, can I be a cook? Like, anything. I want to stay in the Marines. It's just, obviously the Marine Corps isn't really working for me so far, the infantry. I can't be combat deployed. Why am I going to train? Like, what's going on with this? Like, no, you need to finish your 4 years. I'm like, what are you saying, dude? And it was the last day of that 10-day field op that I broke down, mentally broke down. They had pushed me very, very far. Everybody was on edge because it was 10 days, very miserable, no cigarettes, nothing. We were exhausted, sleep deprived. We had very little food. Frostbite was kicking in. We had people going into literal hypothermia, foaming at the mouth, losing consciousness, people, horrific injuries. Like, we used to, oh my God. One of the hikes that we had to do, we had to go up on this mountain, but before we stepped off, we had to get out of our tents and pack it up. It was freezing rain. We had 3 guys in our company fall down into the ground unconscious, hypothermia, and we had to drag them with a sked up the mountain with us. It was miserable, really, really bad. And that last day, as we're hiking down, I had it. I was done. Why am I doing this training? You're never gonna combat deploy me. Why am I being singled out all the time? I know I can't hike. I'm trying my best. I got through most of the hiking. Most of the hiking during that Bridgeport thing, I got through because it wasn't so much hiking as it was patrolling. So it was a slower pace. I got through it, but it was so miserable. And when I would fall down just a little bit, they would just berate me and just call me, they hated me. I was really ostracized in my squad and in the company as a whole really ostracized. And then it started to get worse. Like they started telling me, we're going to give you bad paperwork. And they did. They started giving me negative counselings, which would get into page 11s, which are really bad paperwork. And then it would get into NJP for failing hikes, for failing patrols. And I was like, I can't do it. Like, I am 115 pounds. Just give me a break. Give me a different job. Don't destroy me. Don't NJP me. Give me a terrible paperwork because I'm small. Just give me a different job. But they wouldn't listen. They wouldn't listen. They told me, no, you can't do that. And again, people were really on edge at that point. No cigarettes, all that stuff. Very, very unleashing on me. So I looked them all in the eyes. And I had a thought. I thought I was going to do. I was going to jump off the side of the cliff on my left and off myself. That was the plan. But I want to look them in the face first and really like build up that anger, that the courage to do it. And I had the courage. I was fuming inside. But I couldn't say anything because you're in the Marines. And if you fume and you let it out, instant NJP. So instead of doing that, I locked eyes with one of the guys in particular who was really brutal on me. And as I was looking at him, he finally saw that I had eye contact on him. And this was during a pause in a hike. We were hiking down. People were just sort of like stretching and stuff. And I twisted my ankle, my left ankle, to the side. And I jumped on it. Jump. And I tried to break it. And I got very close. Not the bone, but it is permanently damaged. I'll show you a picture right now. I was now self-harming. That was the lowest point of my Marine Corps time. I self-harmed. I did that because people were not listening. They didn't understand. And that's how I felt. 19 years old. No, 20 at that point. Something like that. It was later on in the Marines. And somebody had to go and take my pack, and I had to just go with my... Oh, they took my rifle as well, obviously. Can't self-harm with that. And then I walked down with them. Got to the end, and we... next couple days, we finished off training, and then we drove off back to our base. That was the lowest point in my time, obviously. So there it is, life isn't always easy. And after I got back is when I finally broke the news to my leadership. Like, I am going to pursue any way to get out of the Marine Corps now. Like, I cannot stand it. I can't stand it. I can't do it. You guys don't deserve me. I am not able to fit in. People hate me, and I need to get out. A lot of people like me. I had friends. Yeah, I had friends. But there's a lot of people, especially my leadership, they ignored my pain. They ignored my pain too long. I couldn't deal with it. So I got an ADSEP, an administrative separation. And that means that it's an honorable one. It's under honorable conditions, so it's honorable. But it means that there's a reason that you got out. Okay, you didn't finish your 4 years. There's a reason. I decided to do that instead of a medical discharge, like I was thinking about with the hearing aid, because they would have had me stay in the 4 years. This happened to a couple of my friends, including one of them who would later on have some really hard times after the Marine Corps. Because of his experience in the Marine Corps, they kept him in for 3 years with a broken back, just standing guard duty, not getting deployed because of his injuries, and they just did not want to make him leave, and it was miserable for him. It's not what you want to do. You can't just keep people because of contract. You gotta let them be free. You gotta let them just have a little bit of autonomy, especially when it comes to their health. These are young dudes. I'm not the same person I was when I joined the Marines that I am today. I'm 26 years old now. Been through Ukraine, been through Iraq, been through Syria. I've been through all this stuff on my own. I didn't need the Marine Corps for that, and I was successful. The friends I made there, the training that I was able to conduct for other people, the operations I did successfully. I did, and the Marine Corps helped me with that, but it was not the complete reason. It's because I am who I am. After the Marine Corps, I went to the gym like crazy. I put on a lot of weight. I knew what I needed to go and train for. I needed to train lower body especially, but I needed to give myself a fucking break. And that's what I gave myself. Started working at Apple, and actually 2 months out of the Marine Corps, I started this channel. And the early days of my channel were dark. My Marine Corps acquaintances found out about my YouTube. My YouTube, I was mostly talking about like airsoft stuff because that was my hobby back in the day, as well as my experience in the Marines. You gotta remember, it was kind of like a frat. It was a posse of dudes when you're in a platoon. And I dealt with that after I got out when they found out that I had a YouTube. They started to berate me, say, you're not a true Marine, you didn't complete your 4 years. And if you're a Marine, if you complete boot camp, you're a Marine. And you get your Eagle, Globe, and Anchor, you are a Marine. You are officially a Marine. I did 2 years, got out early because I couldn't hack it, and I got injured, and I got a lot of stuff, and even after the Marine Corps, I started to get disability paperwork done, and I found out I have a pretty bad traumatic brain injury from some physical training we were doing in the Marines, where now when I sleep, and I sleep wrong, if my head's a little bit too far back, I have intense vertigo, intense nightmares, and intense crazy shit for the rest of the day, headaches, migraines. And this happens a couple times a month. Happened last time 4 days ago. Really bad. And this happens. And it gives me memory loss. There's a lot of things. And this is all stuff I found out after the Marine Corps. And I think a lot of Marines are finding this stuff out now as they get checked for possible injuries. And they're like, wow, okay. And I talked about that on my channel. I talked about like, hey, this is my scenario. This is from my POV, what I'm seeing. I'm trying to be completely honest, which is why I'm giving you guys this video, But yeah, they completely rejected me from the community. They claim that they can tell me if I'm a Marine or not, and I'm not a Marine, and I'm this and that, and I understand a little bit of it. My videos were very self-centered. I did not see their perspective at all. But them still being in the Marine Corps, they still had that mindset, and it was bad. And I got to the point where it took a really heavy toll on my mental wellness, and that's why I went to Syria. That's a big reason. I went to Syria by myself, trying to reclaim the idea that I can do what I want. I'm not afraid of combat. I'm not afraid of putting on the weight. The whole purpose of me going in the Marine Corps was to help people out, and I wasn't helping anybody when I was there. So I went off to Syria on my own with the YPG, and I did that. I went to Iraq as well. And then I went to Ukraine. And the Marine Corps is not the reason that I did that stuff. It's just one of the aspects of it. And now those people look up to me, which is the craziest part. We all grow up. We all get out of the Marine Corps. We all learn. And we all reflect on our experiences with other people. And I hold no ill will towards any of those people. And they don't towards me anymore. They respect me. But I think it's a little sad that it took me going to Syria on my own, risking a lot in order to gain their respect. And that's certainly not why I did Iraq. And it's certainly not why I did Ukraine. I've spoke about this a lot. Iraq and Ukraine was purely based on me wanting to help. There's no ego involved, nothing. My last couple months in Ukraine were training. There's no glory involved, but I love helping. And if that's the best way I can help, awesome. And that's how I look at it now. And that's sort of how the Marine Corps has changed me. Do I look back at the Marine Corps with sadness? No. I wouldn't be the person I am today had I not had those experiences. I learned who I was. I learned my limits. I learned that mind over matter does not exist in a lot of cases. I learned that if you put your mind towards something and you work towards it, maybe it'll take a couple years. Maybe you'll have some big failures. Maybe you'll get some bad paperwork or some bad looks, but you'll succeed. My YouTube is now going up. I've helped the people that I wanted to help. What can I say? I can't complain. And I just want to say that, and I hope you guys got something from this video. That is my Marine Corps experience. I am proud to be a Marine, and I'm proud of what being a Marine is. I wish that I could have been in a better spot when I joined the Marines, but there it is. That is my experience. There's nothing I can do to take it back. There's nothing I can do to change it. And now all the people that I knew from the Marine Corps are my friends. We all get each other. We all understand each other. We all grew up. They went through their experiences. I went through mine. And we're all living good lives. We had a couple deaths along the way, a couple most recently, which is sad. But overall, I can say that the community in general, at least my battalion, ever since getting out, is trying to raise people up. They're not trying to push people down anymore. We're trying to grow as a community, try and grow as people who went through a big part of our lives together. So, yeah. Anyway, that's my Marine Corps experience. That's all I wanted to say, and I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you guys learned something. And I'm gonna go to that bed right there. I'm gonna edit a little bit, get this video out, and go to bed because my headache is killer right now. Okay. I'll talk to you guys in the next one. Peace.